Hello, blessed ones, and welcome to the Night Wolf Temple. This is the Night Wolf speaking, and today I wanted to do a talk about advice and how most advice that you're going to get is bad advice, and how bad advice can not only not help you, but it can actually harm you. And I wanted to break this down, and I think the impetus for this video came from a meeting I had this week with someone who had experience in an industry that I'm looking at going into, and we had a long conversation, and he spoke very self-assuredly about what I should do and about how he knew the path that I should take, and it was the only way that I could have success in this industry. And that conversation sat with me for a while, because basically what he said was, if you do what I did, you will have success. And I want to say that is horrible advice to give people. Just because something worked for you in a different time, and he was talking about doing something in the mid 80s as compared to the year 2025, saying that this is how you have to do it. And he was so confident in what he was saying that it actually had the opposite effect on me. And I'm more confident about the path that I'm going to take compared to the path that he took, based on facts that I have seen, that I have looked at in my own current situation. So what I want to say is, when you're getting advice from someone, you need to look at why they're giving you the advice. And right now, there's never been more life coaches and experts on subjects that have their own channels, their own YouTube channels, their own TikTok channels, their own, Patreons, and they're giving advice to people. They're giving dating advice, and they're giving money advice, and they're giving every sort of advice and telling you how you should do things and how things really are. And they speak with such a high degree of confidence, but at the base of all that, these people are trying to make money. They are doing this to make money. They are doing this, it's a grift. Now, maybe they have some good points. Maybe you can get some value from a few things that they say, but for the most part, you have to take all advice with a grain of salt. You have to really be judicious about who you let in and who you listen to, because they're going to tell you something that maybe it worked for them, or maybe it's just a very generalized statement that isn't applicable to your situation. I remember watching a video of one guy. I'm not going to say any names, but this guy's like made a living out of giving advice and life coaching, and he's very famous. And in the audience, there was someone asking whether or not they should stay married, and he's like, "You already know the answer. You need to leave your husband." And I'm like, you're saying this, having seen this person for 15 seconds. Like, you have you don't know any details about their life. And it doesn't hurt you to give this advice. And that's the other part of it, is whoever's giving you advice, do they have skin in the game? Is there any consequence for them giving you bad advice? Not really. Not really. They're just telling you their opinion. And so if you go off and make a fatal mistake in your life and really screw up your life, it doesn't hurt that person. It's never going to come back to them. Not likely. It's not like you're going to sue them for bad advice. I'm certainly, there's if people are giving medical advice and they're not doctors, and people are giving legal advice and they're not lawyers, but they're representing themselves as experts on those subjects, that's a different category. Maybe they would get sued, but there's always enough caveats people can put out there and enough disclaimers that for the most part they can avoid any sort of repercussions. And I don't want to take credit for the no skin in the game. That's something that a mathematician, investor, and writer, Nassim Taleb, has often touted. If you don't have if the person doesn't have skin in the game. And I would say, the best kind of person to maybe ask advice for would be someone who has a vested interest in your life and seeing you do well, that actually loves and cares about you, and then you should be able to question that advice and say, well, question the source of it. Does this person have experience with what you're dealing with? And also, this is related to older people giving advice to younger people. They may not have any sort of relatable experience to what you're going through, just because when they were your age and dealing with things, the world was very, very different. Um, when I was young and a kid, there was more trust in the world. People left their doors unlocked. It seems like we're in a much lower trust society these days. So the other quick point I want to make about advice is that I was reading in this psychological, I think it was on Psychology Today, about some studies about how one negative interaction can equal like 10 positive interactions, and how it requires like 10 positives to counter one negative, because we have a negative bias within ourselves. Humans do. And that's because, for survival, one mistake can cost you your life, right? So we tend to look out for the negative. We look out for the danger way more than we look for the positive. And one thing about advice is if you're getting advice that's making you feel bad about who you are right now, or making you question who you are, question decisions, and bringing negativity into your life, that's going to have a really big impact on you. And it could even have an impact to where you abandon what you were going to do, even if you had conviction before talking to that person. And that's, speaking from my experience, kind of what I experienced this week was, I was fired up about this idea of doing this thing. And I talked to this man who had been doing it for a while. And, I left that meeting really questioning whether or not I should do it, because I wasn't going to do it like he wanted to. And like, will I have success? But then after some time, I thought about it and I said, no, he's got his perspective, but, I've done the research. Just because this man says you can't do it that way doesn't mean that you can't do it that way. And just because a self-proclaimed expert says you can't do something one way, or it can't be done, or it's impossible, doesn't mean that that's true. In fact, it doesn't affect them at all. So why would they care? Why would they care about the outcome? They don't care about the outcome. What they care about is like making money off of you. What they care about is being right, having control, and making money off of you. And the other thing I'm going to talk about, and this is specific to content creators and YouTubers and people and influencers, is they have to come up with content. They have to say things. So if they're just talking and talking and talking all the time, they're going to say things that are like way off base and like way inaccurate. It's inevitable. You can't just sit and talk and talk and talk all the time and have something to say. That's why I put the tower card here, is that at some point it just all starts to sound like gibberish. And that's why you see, people, that's why people have reaction videos, because they don't really have anything to say or come up with on their own. Not enough content. So they have to have, they have to generate those clicks and generate those watches to earn a living, because that's what they're doing. And at the end of the day, talk is cheap. It's just words. It's minimal effort. Look at what people do. Look at what people do. So much in business is just talk and training and talk, and like going to conferences and going to seminars and networking and talk, and everyone's talking and no one's doing. And I look out for the doers, and I would look out for the doers. And I just really want to say that I don't know what the percentage is, but most advice you're going to get is bad advice. They say about opinions, everyone's got them. I won't say the phrase, but opinions are like a certain part of the body. Everyone has one. And most of them are wrong. Most people are ignorant. Most people are locked in their own biases, and they can't see beyond it. And they don't think about how what they're telling you is going to affect you. It's not something that even crosses their mind. And I'll say this too: certain generations, the older generations especially, don't think about how their words affect you. So keep that in mind. Most advice is bad. I mean, even maybe what I'm saying now, I don't care if you question what I'm saying in this video. You have to make your decisions for yourself. Um, and I'm making this video just as much for myself as for anyone watching it. Most advice you're going to get is bad advice. Just remember that. And if you get bad advice that discourages you, then you've got to do the work to get that out of your head, because it can plant a seed of doubt, and that seed of doubt can grow, and it doesn't take a lot of negativity to plant the seed of doubt. Just remember that a seed of doubt, it can be a very small seed of doubt, but negativity is very, very powerful, and it can grow. So I'm going to leave it at that. This video is a lot longer than I ever intended to make, but it's a topic that's been on my mind. I feel passionate about it, and I hope that you have a blessed day, dear ones. This has been the Night Wolf Temple, and this has been the Night Wolf speaking.